living in a democracy, we're used to the fact that majority rules. In fact, it has a basis in halacha. And halacha says, Torah says, Acharei rabim lahatos. One should judge according to majority. And therefore, a Beis Din, a Jewish court, always has to be an uneven number. So to make sure that it can be a majority. So the question is as follows, related to the parsha of this week. This week's Torah portion we learn about how Moshe Rabbeinu sent 12 Nisim, 12 leaders of the Jewish people in the desert. They should go to Eretz Yisrael and they should scout the land of Israel and they should come back, suggest what would be the best way forward. How would be the best way to conquer it? So we know the story. The 10 of the 12 brought back a very negative report that was actually designed to intimidate the people and discourage them from entering this ferocious land of Israel, the land that devours its inhabitants. And they stated, we will not be able to go up to the land of Israel. 2, Yeshua and Kalev, they said, no, ole nale, we will be able. But obviously, the people responded according to the majority. And they cried out to Moshe Rabbeinu. And then they started complaining and lamenting the very departure from Egypt. So what happened? God indeed punished them and said, you will not go to the land of Israel. And for 40 days they wandered in the desert. And this generation died in the desert. And in fact, this day became a sad day in the Jewish calendar. That was the day of Tisha B'Av. The 9th day of Av, which was the day when eventually became the day of the destruction of the temple. First and second. So this became a very, very sad moment in Jewish history. But one can ask the question, why were they punished? Weren't they supposed to do exactly that? Follow the majority? 10 Nisim, they were just nobodies. They were the leaders of the Jewish community. They were the leaders of Am Yisrael, appointed by Moshe Rabbeinu. Ksherim hoyu. They were righteous people, as it says in the Chumash, prior to their departure. So obviously they had to go according to majority. Where did they go wrong? I'm not discussing now where the Nisim went wrong. Discussion for some other time. If God forbid we'll still be in exile, we'll discuss it tomorrow. But what did God want from the Jewish people? They did what they're supposed to. Interesting discussion in the Talmud where one of the Romans asked one of the sages, and he told them, you Jewish people, you don't follow your own Torah. The Torah says, Acharei rabim lahatos, you have to go according to majority. The majority of the world is not Jewish. The majority of the people do not follow Torah and mitzvahs, so you must do the same. His answer was a very simple one. When is there a need of a majority? When do we have to follow the majority? When there is a doubt, when there is a question, there's a litigation, we're uncertain. But where there is certainty, when there is no doubt, there's no question. There's no minority or majority. Moshe emes and Torah emes. What the Torah says is true. It's not up for debate. It's not up for questions and for majority rule. The word of Torah, the word of God, is it. So God said to the people in the desert, you heard from Moshe Rabbeinu that we're going to Eretz Yisrael. From the first moment you were taken out of Israel. For what purpose? To journey towards Eretz Yisrael, to conquer that land, and to make this the holy land for God Himself. There is no question about it. There is nothing to doubt. There is no majority rule over here. That was their error. And since they followed the majority, that means they had a doubt in the words of Moshe Rabbeinu, and therefore they were looking for majority. That brought them to stay in the desert for 40 years, and actually this generation never made it to Israel. Friends, we have the same situation. We heard from Moshe Rabbeinu, we heard from the Rebbe that we are living the moment of redemption. There can be no doubt. No one, no majority, no event can stray us, can discourage us from our mission. And the mission is what? As the Rebbe says, one more mitzvah, a little bit in the realm of goodness and kindness. Add a little. And any moment now, we will meet at the main entrance of the Beis HaMikdash.